Good, happy Tuesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to U.S. News Now with Riley King. Let's begin. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, so let's get started. First up, 70 major wildfires burning across 10 states. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
We begin with the wildfires in the West, where at least 70 major fires are now burning across 10 states. In California, nearly 4 million acres have already burned this year, and in Northern California, the governor has declared a state of emergency. Our Kana Whitworth is there.
Overnight, homes and structures incinerated. Nearly 80,000 people told to evacuate. Out-of-control wildfires raging throughout Northern California. The air resembling an erupting volcano. The Zog fire turning deadly.
It's with a saddened heart that I come before you today to say we've had 3 deaths.
In Sonoma and Napa County, nearly 70,000 acres burned so far with drought conditions. Home after home now kindling.
The smoke is so thick that as you watch, it's almost as if the fire truck sort of disappears as it goes around the corner.
St. Helena's Hospital forced to evacuate all of its patients for the second time in a month.
The hardest part is, number one, trying to keep them from being too fearful.
Jan Zakin rescued after a burning car blocked her escape route.
Be left with nothing. I mean, just literally with nothing. We're so lucky to be alive.
With parts of California a tinderbox, images of destruction showing just how miraculous these survival stories are.
Diane, standing right here behind me, 2 firefighters. They've been working for 48 straight hours. They are manning this fire with a hose right now. They're trying to protect a home that's just 50 yards away. And the winds are starting to die down, and the red flag warnings are starting to move south into Los Angeles. But this area that's actively burning, while it's been under evacuation orders many times, hasn't burned in more than a century. So, Diane, this fight is still far from over.
Sure terrifying for residents there, Kana. Thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Tonight is the first 2020 presidential debate. Donald Trump and Joe Biden go head-to-head. Fox News' Chris Wallace will be hosting the debate. It will be on all major news networks tonight. Let's take a look at this debate promo.
This is the most important election in the history of our country. The end of this chapter of American darkness began here tonight.
President Donald Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden face off in an epic showdown to decide the future of our nation. And America's premier journalist, Chris Wallace, moderates this can't-miss event. The biggest stage, the biggest stakes, the future of America. Chris Wallace moderates the first presidential debate, Tuesday on Fox News Channel. America is watching.
And it will be on the other major news channels as well. Biden and Harris release 2019 tax returns ahead of first presidential debate. Let's take a listen to that video from MSNBC News.
Debate call with press. What can you report?
Yeah, Chuck. Well, as one Biden ally just said to me, Joe Biden has been waiting for this fight for 5 years. They're confident that he's going to be a game-time player, as the Biden team often puts it. And the two things are clear based on my conversations with the Biden campaign over the last few days and from the call that they just did with reporters now. One is that the overarching issue, the number one issue that he expects to focus on tonight is, in fact, the coronavirus, the president's handling of the pandemic. I know there's been a lot of focus about what potential guests might be in the audience tonight. The Biden team saying one of their invited guests is Kristen Urquizo. You may remember her from the Democratic convention. She lost her father to the coronavirus, and she said his only pre-existing condition was that he trusted Donald Trump. And then in terms of the strategy, it's been very clear for a number of weeks, Chuck, that the Biden team is very focused on winning back those Obama-Trump voters. They probably would call them the Obama-Biden-Trump voters because Biden played such a big role in those campaigns in 2008 and 2012. And speaking to those, that's part of that train tour we're seeing tomorrow. And that Scranton versus Wall Street framing, Chuck, is going to be a big part of what we hear from him tonight. And in fact, conveniently timed to the Biden campaign just announced the former vice president is releasing today his 2019 tax return. He has already released 21 years as of last year. They're choosing today to make that most recent revelation of his most recent tax filing, along with Kamala Harris's her tax filings as well. They really want to destroy the myth that has been, in voters for a number of years that Donald Trump is a successful businessman who can help the working class, and that's really a large part of the way their strategy has been shaping up and will be tonight, Chuck.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this,
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. "91-year-old professor virtual teaching goes viral during pandemic." Let's take a listen to that video from CBS Evening News.
We end tonight with a professor who stood the test of time, still teaching the ancient classics, only now he's using 21st century technology to do it. Here's CBS's Meg Oliver.
I never really gave any thought to retiring.
For more than 5 decades, Professor Emeritus Charles Crone has nourished the soul of his students.
Our city reeks with the smoke of burning incense.
Teaching the classics at the University of St. Thomas in Houston, and he wasn't about to let the coronavirus get in the way.
They couldn't run me off, so I just stayed around.
Once upon a time.
But that's meant embracing technology and a whole new way of teaching at the age of 91.
Are your students helping you?
Oh, yes, definitely. Especially if something technical is wrong. Well, Professor Crone, why don't you try doing this?
He currently teaches 5 days a week and often relies on his theater background to engage his students. His dedication wasn't lost on his former students who took to social media after his virtual teaching went viral. One former student writing, "He left a lasting impression on our lives."
I'm curious, how old do you feel?
Well, like Jack Benny. How old am I? I'm 39.
Meg Oliver, CBS News, Montclair, New Jersey.
Very impressive, as teaching via Zoom is hard for anybody.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Tuesday evening edition of U.S. News Now with Riley King. Thank you for joining us for this Tuesday evening edition. And coming up at 8 p.m., I will have a special pre-debate coverage of the debate tonight. That's coming up at 8 p.m. right here on the Riley King Network. Good night and goodbye, everyone.